What do you mean she didn't know comparatively she was underdressed? I don't understand it. So I want to talk about it in this video. Meghan going to Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party. We're all tired of it. I am so tired of hearing about it. But what I want to do in this video is talk about this lack of self-awareness that we might observe in the narcissists around us. So it's being reported in the Daily Mail that Meghan took the pictures down because she felt comparatively she didn't look as good as the other women. Now, I'm not talking about how she looked, maybe her face and her makeup or whatever, but clearly she was underdressed compared to everybody else that was there. Like, Meghan was wearing a turtleneck and a skirt, and it was all black. It was very plain and not a very dressy outfit. So how did that come as a surprise to her? I don't understand, but we're going to get into all of that and more. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and is not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. So what I want to go through today is this article that was just published in the Daily Mail. It says, "My Montecito mole tells me why Megan threw a fit after Kris Jenner's birthday party. This Kardashian drama just won't go away." So let's just recap what has happened. Earlier in the evening, Harry and Meghan went to an event for Baby to Baby, which I think is related somehow to Serena Williams. I don't know all the details about it. And then after that, they went to the Jenner party. They didn't change clothes. They were wearing the same outfits. Harry walked in wearing a poppy and Meghan walked in without one. So all of this actually is incredibly controversial because wearing a poppy is in commemoration of the sacrifice people have made in the name of freedom. And to wear that, I mean, this is something I've been struggling with, and I want to know all of your opinions. The best case scenario is he shouldn't have gone. But what's worse, going and wearing the poppy or going and not wearing the poppy? Both are bad. I almost think it's better to not wear the poppy because you're not trying to create a false image. We know you're partying, but you're carrying the symbol of something so important. But let me know in the comments what you think about that. So then they walk in, there were pictures taken, and what happened first is that the Kardashians released a bunch of pictures, but Harry and Meghan were not in any of them. So they weren't in the photos at first at all. Then there were photos put out where they were in them. And then these photos were taken down. So the original instinct by the Kardashian family, the Kardashian Jenner family, was not to put the pictures there at all. There were reports saying that somebody phoned in and said, put the pictures out. And a lot of people speculate that that would have been Meghan that made that call. And then shortly after that, all the pictures were taken down. Now, this article is saying that it's because Meghan didn't like how she looked, and we'll get into all of that. But there are stories going back and forth. So the first story that we heard from Meghan's camp is that they checked off a box that said, we don't want our photos to be publicized in any way. There was no such questionnaire. To anyone that's paying attention, the Sussex part of the story doesn't make sense at all. And it reminds me of Meghan's wedding to Trevor Engelson in 2011 or 12. She asked everybody not to take any pictures or videos. They were not allowed. That's why there are so little pictures of her first wedding. Well, some people think her second wedding, but that's neither here nor there, and that is all allegedly. So I've always wondered about that. Why did she really have so much foresight, is that the word, to know that it would be harmful to her if her first wedding pictures were released? It's something curious, and it's something I definitely think about. So now they go into this party, and there are reports that they were trying to network while they were there. And I mean, it makes sense. I wonder if they had secured the invitation to this party before they went to Baby to Baby. I feel like they had it because they maybe would have had to change an outfit. And then here's another thing. If they didn't want their pictures published and put out there, don't pose for pictures. Isn't that kind of obvious? I don't know. So to me, this is very much, they wanted the pictures out there, but then they got backlash and they backtracked. And a lot of people have said that it's because that it fell on Remembrance Day weekend and that it was just negative press because Meghan didn't wear a poppy, then Harry wore a poppy. But I think what this article is going to say is probably a major reason why Meghan wanted those posts taken down. So here's what it says in this article. It says, she tells me, Meghan is so particular about curating her image and has approval over every photo that goes out. She saw those pictures and realized how bad she looked compared to every other woman at the party and obviously threw a fit. Needless to say, Kim K and crew are reportedly furious that these royal pains created a whole bunch of unnecessary drama, overshadowing an event that should have been a celebration of Jenner's life and surgical triumphs. At this point, Harry and Meghan seem to be running out of A-listers to offend. And there it is. This to me rings incredibly true. She just didn't like how she looked in the pictures. And this is what I don't understand. Like, how can you walk into a room where everyone is in an elegant, well, not all were elegant, but clearly in evening wear, right? Just look at how the Kardashians, all of them were dressed. None of those were more casual type of outfits, but Meghan's was. How did she not notice that while she was there? Did she think that a flash of a bulb would make everything look better, that her outfit would now be on a comparable level to what everybody else was wearing there? Now, look, I don't want to talk about Meghan's appearance. There are a lot, we can't control the majority of our physical attributes, right? But what we can talk about is definitely there was an outfit mismatch. Definitely Meghan was underdressed. Harry seemed to have been dressed appropriately for the outfit. What he was wearing seemed to match what all the other men there were wearing, but Meghan just wasn't. This is more than just being underdressed. This is about being so far removed from reality. True self-awareness isn't about controlling the picture. It's about the aura that you exude when you walk into a room. And all of this is a powerful example of narcissistic self-perception distortion, and a lack of situational self-awareness. People with narcissistic traits often live inside a self-image and not just inside the moment. They think about how they want to appear and not how they actually appear. That's why Meghan might have walked into this party feeling like she nailed it, because the idea of her outfit matched the identity she was curating. But narcissistic perception is internal and idealized, not social and adaptive. She didn't attune with the reality of what was going on in the room. She was more in tune with this image of the fantasy she had in her head. Clearly, there's a gap then between her self-image and her social awareness. And this is a phenomenon called impaired reality testing. Narcissistic personalities often can't see themselves accurately until evidence forces them to. It's why they'll say things like, that's not how I looked, or that's not what I meant, when shown photos or footage that contradict their self-concept. In psychology, that moment when the mirror doesn't match the fantasy, it's called narcissistic injury. It's the emotional crash between who they thought they were and what others actually saw. And at the end of the day, this is not just about clothes, it's about control. If she threw a fit afterward, it wasn't because she suddenly cared about being underdressed. It was because she lost control of the narrative. For someone deeply invested in image management, this feels like humiliation. What I want to do now is give you a couple of examples of how this exact situation might happen in your own life. You've told a narcissistic partner, parent, or boss that their behavior was cruel or embarrassing and they dismissed you. Then someone else notices, or there's video evidence, and only then do they react, not with accountability, but with rage or humiliation. They don't feel bad about what they did. They feel bad that someone saw it. That's the same lack of internal self-awareness, and their mirror is external. Another example is image first, empathy last reaction. A narcissist might ignore your feelings, but the moment their reputation or image is at stake, suddenly they care. They're upset, not because they hurt you, but because someone might view them differently. Just like realizing they were underdressed, their distress is triggered by exposure and not empathy. In a third example, you may have dealt with someone who seemed loving and charming in public, but cold and critical in private. When confronted, that person genuinely can't see it until they hear a recording or someone else calls it out. It's the same pattern. They live in a self-image and not in self-awareness. When you tell a narcissist how their actions look to other people, instead of reflecting, they accuse you of making them look bad. And this is exactly what I think is happening with this photo incident. It's not anger that the photos were put out. It's anger at the exposure. It's anger at the comparison. So I'm curious to know, what do you think about all of this? Please drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to also mention that I have a true crime channel. The link is in the description of this video. So if you could please give me a follow there if you're interested in that, I would love it. I'd also like to ask you that in lieu of super chats and super stickers, if you would kindly consider donating to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their information is on the screen should you need to reach out to them, and a link to donate is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.